Hello and welcome to the Musical Chairs podcast, the only podcast that invites you to pull up a chair and take a listen. Now, I'm really excited to be putting on this podcast for you today because we are jumping into a new era of production. Yes, we are using a microphone, as you can see here. I decided that you needed to hear my voice a little more clearly, and I wanted to look really cool like a radio guy. So, the Republicans are doing everything correctly, and the Democrats are messing everything up. What's up with that? Okay, bad Rush Limbaugh impression, but I just wanted to point out that that looked cool. So, anyway, let's talk about Stone Temple Pilots, shall we? Stone Temple Pilots has moved on. Yes, they have. Scott Weiland is out, and Linkin Park's frontman, Chester Bennington, is in. Yes, he recently appeared with the band at K-Rock's Weenie Roast, and he did a fantastic job of going through the Stone Temple Pilots catalog and doing justice to the music that fans like myself enjoy. They also debuted a brand new song called Out of Time, and we're going to give a little review of that in a little bit. So, let's talk about what happened. Scott Weiland got fired sanctimoniously at the beginning of the year or late last year with nothing but a press release from the band saying, "He's gone, man." And Scott Weiland shot back through the media saying, "You can't fire me. Try to fire me? Oh, that's right. You can't, because I'm like the CEO. I own like 25% of this endeavor, so you can't fire me. And you try to fire me, then I'm going to come back and let you know, like Chop Suey style or something. I'm going to come back and I'm going to hit you in the throat, and then I'm going to sing." So they said, "Well, that's fine. You try to come back. I'm going to move on without you." And that's exactly what Stone Temple Pilots did. They decided, you know what? We need a singer that shows up, writes material, and stays out of jail. So they have moved on and got Chester on board. And I'm telling you, the boy did justice to almost their entire catalog. So you need to check that out on YouTube. Go check that out. I'll maybe put some links there. You can check out his performance. Now, is he a Scott Weiland? No, he's not Scott Weiland. Scott Weiland will always be the voice of STP. However, with that said, it's pretty damn close. I think he's a good choice. 3 reasons. First reason is because, well, Stone Temple Pilots needs a lead singer who can produce on a regular basis, who will actually play with the band, who actually likes them. I think their last record, they did not produce that last record altogether. I think the band or the backing musicians, the Layo brothers and Eric Kretz, did it in one studio and then shipped off the tracks to Scott Weiland, who did it in his own studio. And I don't think that's a good way to work, personally, for a band. The other reason is because, well, I think Chester Bennington is like a Scott Weiland disciple. You know, he's like, "Oh, Scott Weiland, oh, he is the greatest." So that's a good thing. Get Chester Bennington, who's been following him since he was 13, have him come in and, you know, do the Scott Weiland, you know, Eddie Vedder-ish voices. "I want to run through your wicked garden," right? And then you get also the very kind of airy LA pop kind of sound that he also gets, which I'm not going to even try because I can't even do that well. And I think the third reason is because, well, I think he brings some fame. You know, Chester Bennington needs to be famous. You need a famous lead singer. And Chester is famous from Linkin Park. I mean, we know the guy can yell. We know he can scream. Shut up! You remember that whole thing? He can scream really well. And Linkin Park is like, I think 7 albums in now. So they're established. They got a fan base, which is great. So they got crossover capability between the 2 groups. Everybody wins. Looks like Chester's going to be part of 2 groups, kind of like Miles Kennedy, where he's doing Alter Bridge, and he's also doing Slash, right? He's singing with him. So this is a good thing for Stone Temple Pilots. I think they stay intact. I think they're paying homage to their past and forging forward with someone who has those sensibilities and making new music, which is what I want to hear as a fan. I want to see new music come from Stone Temple Pilots. So I think this is a good move moving forward. I think that they're going to have really good success. I think that the fans are going to be won over pretty quickly. Now, there are going to be some diehards out there, some haters, the haters with a Z. Yes. They're going to be saying, yo, man, you can never replace him, man. It's like trying to replace Tupac. You can't replace Tupac. Yeah, I get it. I agree with you. Stone Temple Pilots will always be, probably in most people's minds, Scott Weiland and the rest of the band. For me, I can live without it. And here's the reason why I can live without it. I can live without it because they put out a masterpiece record, number 4. And that's a masterpiece record. Top to bottom, that is a great record. And they never toured behind it because Scott Weiland went to jail. And I don't know. I personally felt betrayed that they didn't do it. Granted, I at the time I wasn't really. I was just kind of getting on board with them at the time. But he went to jail. They never promoted that record. They didn't get to promote that record until they put out Shangri-La Da. So I was like, that was such an opportunity squandered by the band. I mean, it was just so squandered, man. I felt bad for them. That was such a great record. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I saw them on tour a few times and they were great. They were fantastic, but I wanted to hear number 4. I wanted to hear that entire record as much as possible. And I didn't get the chance because Scott Weiland decided that, well, you know what? I want to go to jail. Okay, he probably didn't decide that, but, made choices that led him down that road. So, I think that this is a good thing, and I'll let you hear the new track, and you'll know why. Check it out.
You gotta learn your lesson. You see what you've been missing. You gotta cross that line.
I told you it's a good song, didn't I? That's right. It's got elements from all the first 3 records, right? It's got some core in there. We got some Purple, some Tiny Music, vocals going on. It's a good mix, man. He sounds like Scott Weiland stylistically, which is great. He's got his own thing with the screaming. A little thin, but you know what? Better than nothing. And that's kind of where I'm coming from. Like, it's a good song. I've always liked the DeLeo brothers' songwriting. I've always thought it was good. Good throwbacks, good callbacks to the 60s and 70s with a modern, twist to everything. So, good song. I hope to hear more. I really do. I hope that they go on and they do much more recording. I hope they put out another record, and I hope they tour behind it. I really think this is a good record. Now, what does this mean for Linkin Park? I don't know. Linkin Park is putting out a new record too. So it may be a while before we hear anything official from Stone Temple Pilots. I think this is a good song to tide us over until they get something out. And I think that there is going to be a bright future for Stone Temple Pilots, at least in the short term. Let's hope that Scott Weiland doesn't decide to come back and sue everybody, and then we start getting into this, or that they decide, well, go to court, and then we get ourselves like a Queensryche or LA Guns situation where they have Scott Weiland's version of Stone Temple Pilots, and then you've got kind of a more officially, understood version of Stone Temple Pilots. Don't go down that road. Please don't go down that road, because I can't stand reading about Queensryche and all their fans, bitching back and forth about what the real version of Queensryche is. The argument is moot, really. Let's just have it be that Stone Temple Pilots in the majority is Stone Temple Pilots, and we got Scott Weiland. Personally, I think Scott Weiland, if he really wanted to, he could have a great solo career. I mean, he may not sell a ton of records. He may not live or sell arenas, but as a musician, he's got a lot of merit on his own. So I think he should continue putting out records, continue doing what he's doing, continue living off the legacy of what he's done in the past. I think he has every right to do so. And assuming whatever can be squashed between these people, I would welcome him back, believe it or not. I would say, yeah, get rid of Chester and put Scott back in. Put him in, coach. Put him in. He needs to be back in there and doing his thing. I think that he is a creative force in that band. But we'll see. We'll see how time will tell, and hopefully the DeLeo brothers and Eric Kretz get their due, get what they need as artists, satisfied, and they move on. So, way to go, brothers. I can't wait to hear more out of Stone Temple Pilots. And I can't wait to record more podcasts with this microphone. This is going to be awesome. So, anyway, as usual, please follow us on Facebook at Musical Chairs Podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter at Musical Chairs PC and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Tell your friends about this. Tell them that you love this podcast. And if you don't, tell your enemies it's the best podcast you could ever watch. Okay? Sounds fair? Awesome. Also visit us online at www.musicalchairspodcast.com. Anyway, I'm your host, Nelson Velasquez, and I'm out. Thank you.